It was a cold night when Marcus stepped inside the prison for the very first time. The big metal gate closed behind him with a loud sound. Clang! That sound stayed in his head. Marcus was 22 years old. He had never been inside a prison before. He thought he knew what to expect. He had seen movies. He had heard stories. But what he was about to learn was something no one had ever told him, not even the guards. A tall officer walked him down a long hallway. The lights were bright, too bright. Everything smelled like strong chemicals. "Keep walking," the officer said. Marcus nodded. He did not speak. They stopped in a small room. "Take off your clothes," the officer said. Marcus froze for a second. He felt embarrassed. But he quickly understood something important. In here, you do not argue. You do what you are told. No one had told him that before. Not his lawyer. Not the judge. Not even the prison guards on TV. This was the first secret. In prison, your choices become very small. After the search, Marcus got his prison clothes. A plain shirt, loose pants, cheap shoes. Everything felt uncomfortable. Nothing felt like his. Then the officer looked at him and said something strange. "Listen carefully. Nobody here is your friend." Marcus didn't understand at first. He thought maybe the officer was just being rude. But later, he would realize that was one of the most important warnings he would ever hear. They walked again. More doors opened. More doors closed. Each one louder than the last. Clang, clang, clang. Finally, they reached a large room. Inside, there were many men. Some were talking. Some were sitting quietly. Some were just watching. And now, they were all looking at Marcus. No one smiled. No one said hello. The officer pointed. "That's your bunk." Then he walked away. Just like that, Marcus was alone. This was another thing guards don't tell you. They don't stay. They don't protect you all the time. Most of the time, you are on your own. Marcus walked slowly to his bunk. His hands were shaking. He tried not to show it, because he noticed something. Everyone was watching how he moved, how he walked, how he looked around. It felt like a test, but no one explained the rules. That's another secret. In prison, there are rules, but they are not written anywhere. You learn them the hard way. Marcus sat on his bed. The mattress was thin. The pillow was flat. He could hear voices all around him. Some people were laughing. Some were arguing. Some were whispering. Then a man walked up to him. He was older, big arms, serious face. "You knew?" the man asked. Marcus nodded. "Yes." The man looked at him for a few seconds. Then he said quietly, "Listen, don't talk too much. Don't stare at people. And don't trust quick kindness." Marcus swallowed. "Okay," he said. The man walked away. That short conversation meant a lot. But Marcus didn't fully understand it yet. That night, Marcus lay on his bed. He could not sleep. The lights never fully turned off. There was always noise. Metal doors. Footsteps. Distant voices. It never felt quiet. This was another thing guards don't tell you. Prison is never truly silent. And silence is something you will miss. Hours passed. Marcus closed his eyes. But his mind kept thinking, why didn't anyone tell me this would feel like this? Not the fear. Not the loneliness. Not the feeling of being watched all the time. Then something happened. A loud argument broke out across the room. Two men were shouting. Everyone looked. But no one moved. No guy came right away. Marcus expected officers to rush in. But they didn't. That was another secret. Guards don't see everything. And sometimes they don't come immediately. After a few minutes, officers finally arrived. The situation stopped quickly. But Marcus had already learned something important. In prison, things can happen fast. And help is not always immediate. Later that night, Marcus turned to face the wall. He held his blanket tightly. He felt small. Smaller than he had ever felt in his life. And that's when it truly hit him. This place was different. Very different. Not like movies. Not like stories. Real. Unpredictable. And quiet in a strange way, even when it was loud. Before he finally fell asleep, Marcus remembered what the officer said. Nobody here is your friend. At the time, it sounded harsh. But now, it sounded real. And this was just his first night. What Marcus didn't know yet was that the hardest lessons was still coming. Marcus woke up before the lights got brighter. He didn't know what time it was. There were no clocks on the wall near his bed. That was the first thing he noticed. In prison, you don't always know the time. You learn to follow sounds instead. Doors opening, shoes walking, voices calling out. That's how your day begins. Marcus sat up slowly. His body felt stiff. The bed was hard. His neck hurt. He looked around. Some men were already awake. Others were still lying down, staring at the ceiling. No one rushed. No one smiled. It felt like everyone already knew what to do, except him. Then a loud voice echoed through the room. Count time. Everyone stood up quickly. Marcus didn't understand, but he stood up too. He looked around and copied the others. That was something he was starting to learn. In prison, you watch and copy. That's how you survive. 2 officers walked in. They looked at each person carefully. No one spoke. No one moved. The room felt frozen. After a few minutes, the officers left. And just like that, things went back to normal. Marcus sat down again. He felt confused. What was that? He thought. No one explained it. That was another thing guards don't tell you. You are expected to learn without being taught. A few minutes later, the same older man from last night walked past him again. Come, he said. Marcus followed him. They walked to a large room. It was the dining area. Marcus held his tray tightly. He didn't know where to sit. There were many tables, but something felt strange. Each table had groups, and each group stayed together. The older man leaned close and said quietly, "Sit hey." Marcus sat down. He noticed something important. People were sitting in groups that looked similar, some by race, some by background, some by who they knew. No one had told him this, but it was clear. This was one of the biggest unwritten rules. Where you sit matters. Who you sit with matters. And choosing wrong can cause problems. Marcus kept quiet. He ate slowly. The food was simple, not very tasty, but he was hungry. Across the room, he saw another new person. The man looked lost, just like Marcus had felt. The man picked a random seat, at the wrong table. Suddenly, the mood changed. A few people looked at him, not angry, but serious, very serious. One man leaned forward and said something to him. Marcus couldn't hear the words, but he saw the new man quickly stand up and move. No fight happened, but the message was clear. There are rules here, and you must learn them fast. Marcus looked down at his food. He felt nervous again. After breakfast, they walked back. The older man finally spoke more. You see now, he asked. Marcus nodded slowly. There are rules, but nobody writes them, Marcus said. The man gave a small nod. Exactly. They kept walking. Another thing, the man said, respect. Marcus listened carefully. Respect is everything here, even small things. Marcus frowned a little. Like what? The man stopped walking. He looked straight at Marcus. Don't sit on another man's bed. Don't touch what is not yours. Don't cut in line. Don't stare too long. Marcus nodded after each one. They sounded simple, but the way the man said them made them feel serious. Even looking at someone the wrong way can cause problems. The man added. Marcus swallowed. I understand. But deep inside, he knew he didn't fully understand yet. Back in the main room, Marcus sat on his bunk again. He watched everything. Carefully. That's when he noticed something else. Some people were friendly. Too friendly. One man walked up to a new inmate and gave him snacks. Smiled a lot. Talked fast. Marcus remembered what he was told. Don't trust quick kindness. He watched closely. Later, he saw the same man asking for something back. The new inmate looked uncomfortable, but he nodded. That was another hidden rule. Nothing is truly free in prison. If someone gives you something, they may expect something later. And saying no is not always easy. Marcus leaned back against the wall. His mind was full. So many rules. So many things to remember. And still, no one officially told him anything. Hours passed. Marcus stayed quiet. He didn't want to make mistakes. But even staying quiet felt like a choice. Because here, everything you do means something, even silence. Later in the day, Marcus made a small mistake. He didn't know it at the time. He walked between two men who were talking. Just passed right through. One of the men turned quickly. "Yo, watch it," he said. Marcus stopped. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. The man stared at him for a few seconds, then looked away. Nothing more happened, but Marcus felt his heart beating fast. That was another lesson. Even small actions matter here. Things that seem normal outside are not always okay inside. That evening, Marcus sat quietly again. The day felt long, longer than any day he had ever lived. But he had learned a lot, more than anyone had told him before coming here. He finally understood something important. Prison is not just about locked doors. It's about people, rules, behavior, and survival. Before lying down to sleep, Marcus looked around one more time. He was still scared, but now he was also aware. And in this place, awareness could make the difference between peace and problems. As the lights dimmed slightly, Marcus closed his eyes. He remembered the words again. Nobody here is your friend. Now, he would add something new to that. And nobody here will teach you the rules. You have to learn them yourself, one day at a time. By the third day, Marcus started to feel something different. Not comfort, not safety, but awareness. He was watching everything now. Every movement, every word, every small detail. That was how people survived in this place. They paid attention. Marcus sat on his bunk early that morning. He noticed something. The same people moved together. They talked quietly. They shared things. Some even laughed. It almost looked normal. But Marcus remembered what he had been told. Don't trust quick kindness. That sentence stayed in his mind. Then something happened. A man walked up to Marcus. He looked friendly. Calm face. Soft voice. "Hey," the man said. "You knew, right?" Marcus hesitated for a second, then nodded. "Yeah." The man smiled. "My name is Dre," he said. "You good?" Marcus wasn't sure how to answer, but he said, "I'm okay." Dre sat down next to him. Too close. Marcus noticed that. "You need anything?" Dre asked. "Snacks? Soap? I got you." Marcus remembered what he saw yesterday. Nothing is free. He shook his head. "I'm good," Marcus said. Dre smiled again. "You sure? First week is hard." Marcus stayed calm. "I'm okay." There was a short silence. Then Dre stood up slowly. "All right," he said. "Just offering." He walked away. Marcus watched him go. At first, he felt bad. Maybe the man was just being nice. But then, he remembered something the older man said. Trust can cost you in here. Later that day, Marcus saw Dre again. But this time, Dre was talking to another new inmate, saying the same things, offering the same help. That's when Marcus understood. It wasn't kindness. It was a system, a quiet system, one that guards don't explain. People offer things. Then later, they ask for something back. And sometimes, what they ask for is not small. Marcus felt a chill in his body. He realized something important. In prison, trust is not given. It is tested, slowly, carefully, and sometimes, never. That afternoon, Marcus sat near the corner of the room. He liked that spot. He could see almost everything from there. That's when the older man came back, the one who had helped him before. "You learning?" the man said. Marcus looked up. "I'm trying," he answered. The man nodded. "You said no today." Marcus paused. "You saw that?" The man gave a small smile. "I see a lot." Marcus took a deep breath. "I didn't want to owe anyone." The man sat down. "Good," he said, "because debt in here is not like outside." Marcus listened closely. "If you owe someone, they don't forget," the man continued, "and they don't wait forever." Marcus nodded slowly. "I understand." The man looked at him for a moment, then said something serious. "Another thing, don't share too much about yourself." Marcus frowned. "Why?" The man leaned back slightly. "Because information is power." Marcus stayed quiet. If people know your story, they can use it, the man said. Marcus thought about that. Outside, sharing your story was normal. It helped people connect. But in here, it could make you weak. That was another hidden rule. Privacy is protection. That evening, something else happened. Marcus saw two men arguing quietly. Not loud, but intense. One of them kept saying, "You said you got me." The other man looked stressed. "I'll get it. Just give me time," he replied. Marcus didn't know the full story, but he understood enough. It started with something small. Maybe food. Maybe a favor. Now it was something bigger. That's how it grows. That's how problems begin. Not always with violence, but with pressure, with expectation, with trust in the wrong place. Later that night, Marcus sat on his bed again. He felt tired. Not just his body, his mind too. There was so much to think about, so much to remember. And still, no one officially explained any of this. Not the guards, not the system. Everything he was learning came from watching, listening, and making careful choices. Before going to sleep, Marcus looked around the room again. He saw groups talking, some laughing, some serious. It almost looked like friendships. But now, Marcus saw it differently. In prison, not everything is what it looks like. A smile can mean many things. A favor can become a problem. And trust can be dangerous. Marcus laid down slowly. He pulled the thin blanket over himself. The noise was still there. The light still dim. Nothing had changed. But inside him, something had changed. He was thinking more, questioning more, trusting less. And maybe that was exactly what he needed to survive. Because in this place, being careful is not fear. It is wisdom. And Marcus was starting to understand that.